Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigor Mortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have Assistant to Mr. Hastings, the Academy Awards. So, like last week we said, after we did Assistant to Mr. Hastings by SerenaWrites, we said that there was going to be a sequel and that we were going to discuss it. So here we are. And this is on creepypasta.wiki, so you can check it out there. And it is by SerenaWrites, who sent us a link to this one along with the original or the first story, and asked us to discuss it on our show, which we are doing. So I suppose before we get too far ahead, though, let us give our initial recommendations. I'm going to recommend this one.
I'm not going to recommend this one.
I'm not going to recommend this one as well.
Interesting.
Do we all have to put a delay on our IMs now?
I just did it we're all being theatrical.
Yeah.
Which is appropriate. Well, let's find out why I liked it, and apparently my hosts did not.
Whether your opinion will change ours by the end of this recording.
I seriously doubt that. It never does.
It probably has.
No.
There's probably evidence of it happening. I'm sure it has.
Audience, comment in the comment section below where it gets posted, and give us a timestamp and an episode number where I have been able to sway my immutable co-hosts of their opinions.
That you've at least been able to go, bring me at least back to a partial or something, because you bring up something that actually I enjoyed about it that I didn't realize I enjoyed about it as much as I did. This is...
Yeah, all right.
It's happened, I'm pretty sure.
Sure. Maybe I'm just giving up now on that hope.
Maybe.
But regardless, jumping into this story with the rundown, featuring Val, because it's still her POV. So, Eric Hastings III has been nominated for an Oscar. Has been nominated for an Oscar? It was for Best Supporting Actor in a horror drama, but he really put in a performance, even surprising Valerie, who is our narrator, like I said, for this whole story, as per the original tale. It's been a year. God damn it. As soon as I
1 week.
Yeah, exactly. It's been 1 week since we reviewed the first. As soon as I say it's amazing how things trigger my brain. It's been a year since we last saw Val and Eric after the whole Bob dinner incident, and since Eric has really and since then Eric has really cleaned up, further endearing him to Val. They are now preparing to attend the award ceremony. And Eric has managed to have Val as his +1 at the show, and everything is going really well. Until they bump into the snooty Yancey Simpson, the son turned actor of the assistant who let Eric's father, Eric Jr., die by not feeding him human flesh. Suffice to say, despite also being nominated for a Best Supporting Actor, no one likes this guy, and he's just an asshole. And as he tries to start something with Eric on the red carpet, various fellow actors come to Eric's defense. After this little kerfuffle, they go inside, that being Val and Eric, to the show, and it starts. And when they get to the Best Supporting Actor nomination, the award goes to, drum roll, Yancey? No one applauds the man, and he is really just super obnoxious about the whole thing. Just getting the award, doing a crappy speech, and just leaving the ceremony to go outside shortly after with the award. Eric is not giving any kind of expression about the situation, but Val is furious. She excuses herself and goes outside to find Yancey gloating to his mother on the phone about cheating to get the award and ruin Eric's big day. In a fit of rage, Val pushes Yancey down the steps of the theater and he dies, breaking his neck or what have you. To which Val fakes, tries to like fake it all up, or like tries to like fake tears and horrify, and gives a performance of her own, and calls for help, trying to fake it as an accident. In the chaos that ensues, she gets the Oscar and Eric, and they race back to Eric's mansion. The Oscar, as it turns out, was always for Eric, and that's when there's a knock on the door as some of the actors from earlier arrive at Eric's house. And just as
works in hand.
Yeah. Well, that's what Eric and Val are concerned about, but it turns out it's all good because they know that Eric is a cannibal, and that and have some of Yancey's body parts in a bag for an evening snack because they're also cannibals. Val and the cannibal celebs have a nice after party shindig of sorts, and Eric thanks Val for being such a great assistant. Finn. So yeah, that was assistant to Mr. Hastings, the Academy Awards, and suppose we should move on to everyone tolerates the Grand Inquisitions at this point. Honestly, I have nothing. So, Mikey, the E stands for E.
All right. I may have to clean his messes, cover his ass when he has a public meltdown, and provide dinner and entertainment. But over the past year, I've gone from really hating this kind of finding joy in it. So it's the one that's really a run-on sentence.
I get it, yeah. Yeah.
And then the other is the I've gone from really hating this to kind of finding joy in it. There's no comma to separate that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
It sounded like you were going to counter him with that.
I was, but then he stated the comments like, yeah, that probably needs a comma, though there's a lot of commas in that sentence as it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why you break it up into multiple sentences.
Yeah.
So it does need to be broken up. I unfortunately didn't have time to break it up.
How fucking dare.
Did you finish this last minute? Who do you think you are, me?
Well, I found this while reading it, and then didn't do anything with it because I just stumbled over that last bit, and I was like, "Oh, I'll find it later." And I found it before the podcast, and I was like, "Oh wait, that's run-on sentence." Uh-oh.
All good.
So, yeah, it just needs to be broken up more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I have a conjunction junction.
All right.
And next stop, conjunction junction. Doot, doot.
It doesn't feel real. Because of this, I have made corpses tastier. I learned different ways to cook human meats based on Eric's descriptions of people. It's morbid, but it's effective. But here we are, the king of bad movies being awarded. It was Eduardo Jimenez and Indigo McCabe.
I'm just going to stop you right now. It is actually Jimenez.
Jimenez.
It's like jalapeno.
Jalapeno?
Yeah. Oh.
Jalapeno. I got it.
Yeah. just I just want to bring that up just because that's how you say that last name. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, that was Finn.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
there's Finn. No,
Oh wow, I should. Oh no.
he's fine.
Well, yeah. That was an opportune interjection then.
Mhm. Yeah, that was pretty short. Yeah, and for those unaware, Mikey grabs sentences throughout the story that start with words that they probably shouldn't, like it's, ands, or buts, because there's always better words to use.
Indeed. All right, I guess we're on to the grammar in yellow with Gamer.
Yeah, I got one. Eric walked slowly up to the door and shakily opened it. It was Eduardo. How do you say his last name?
Jimenez.
Jimenez?
Yeah. Like treat the J as a as an H.
Okay. Eduardo Jimenez.
God damn
Just completely ignore your
it. Now that we've insulted the Latinx community, thank you.
I keyed. And Indigo McCabe. They were holding a bag. So when this bag is brought up, it's very soon to be revealed that it has the body of Yancey in it. However, when it's first described, I imagined it was like a paper bag or a Walmart-sized plastic bag that they were just holding.
Yeah.
So the reveal that there was an entire human body in there, it was surprising to say the least. I was like, okay, is this a bag of holding now?
Yeah, it probably should have been a little bit more descriptive on like what that bag was, because like
yeah, if it was a clarification that it's a duffel bag or something, you know,
Or body bag.
oh my god,
might be
can
a
you
little
imagine?
but yes.
Well, it doesn't have like all of Yancey. I think it like has oh no, inside was the bloodied corpse of Yancey Simpson.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like the entire body bag. They just we all know.
Yeah. I mean, it's entirely possible if they chop them up so it's easier to fit in a smaller bag. But
Or
yeah.
who knows? Or who knows? They are celebrities and like actors, and it says we all know. So like maybe this is just the secret cabal of celeb cannibals that can just pay off the police and stuff like that and stuff, things. So
Cabal, invisibility, cabal.
cabal. Wow, that's a really deep cut.
Hell yeah. But that's all I got for her.
All right. Well, then I suppose we'll move on to actual thoughts. I'm going to start with this one here. I work for the actor Eric Hastings III, a third-generation legacy actor, charming, drunk, and a cannibal who needs flesh to survive. Believe me, I don't know how it works either. I'm scared to ask. What I do know is he needs to eat to survive, at least once every 2 weeks. So, I guess he really is just a regular cannibal. But there might be like some supernatural aspect just like on the side of like kind of like how a vampire needs to like drink blood, otherwise something bad happens. So it's like maybe like he just needs to eat, otherwise he dies. Like he can only get sustenance, real like actual sustenance from eating human flesh.
Maybe.
like-
Yeah, we don't know what happens.
Yeah. But like otherwise, like that's like otherwise he's pretty regular. He's pretty ordinary otherwise. Like there's no really cool like supernatural abilities, unless maybe the cannibalistic ability also improves his appearance and charisma as an actor. Like maybe that's why. And again, like, and as we find out later on, like maybe that's also the key to a lot of celebrity success.
All actors are cannibals.
Yeah, exactly. That's again the secret. Believe it or not, there is actually a conspiracy theory similar to this in Hollywood about like the rich eating people and shit.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure I've heard like this kind of conspiracy theory about Hollywood.
Nice.
Like like that's why like a lot of like movies like specifically the movie like Night Teeth and some other movies I've seen, they play on like the fact that like vampires are actors and actresses in Hollywood. Because it's like sort of an allegory or an allegory for the rich and famous being like kind of monsters. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess from what I said earlier from like the previous episode where I was like hoping maybe the sequel will kind of explain a a little bit more about like the whole cannibalism thing with the character. We don't really get that in this one, so that's kind of a shame. But that's all I got for that quote and comments for that. So I'll move on to the next thing. Eric's made my job much easier ever since I introduced you all to him. So is Valerie like pulling a She-Hulk here and like talking to the audience past the fourth wall? Like,
way I saw it is the story she posted is something that she posted in World.
Oh, so that actually like adds, because I was thinking it's like, oh, maybe it's like a psychosis thing. Like, again, like how, like why She-Hulk like breaks the fourth wall both in the comics and then in the more recent like TV show is like it's part of her Hulkism. Like that's like she doesn't have another person, like another personality in her head. She has us that she talks
really?
to.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, and like why like Deadpool's kind of insane. So like that's why you can see the fourth wall. In comics, it plays. It's often played in comics for like why characters can break the fourth wall. So it's actually like a type of psychosis, and so like that's why I was kind of thinking like, oh, well, maybe that's part of like her trauma-induced like psychosis of like working for this monster kind of thing. Is that she's just starting to talk to like a fourth wall, like just an audience that only she can see. But yeah, that actually what you just brought up, that like the previous story was posted. Sort of opens up, like explains like a little bit more about how he was outed by the two other cannibals. It's like, we know, Eric, we all know it was on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or it was on this weird creepypasta wiki. Val fucking posted it under an
He's
alias.
aware of it.
Yeah.
He's aware of it too because he's treating her better because she did that.
Yeah, so it's like, but yeah, like that he like just doesn't realize, like I guess the repercussions, or I guess there are no repercussions in this world for being actual cannibal.
It's very confusing. It kind of like goes against itself a little bit because, like, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it right now. This is part of the like the reason why I enjoyed this was because I kind of just started playing. I kind of just dove into the story as a horror comedy, like. This is very much like Death Becomes Her kind of style of thing, where it is dealing with morbid context or morbid context, and again POV from a monster or a killer, but it's having fun with it and being kind of silly. So I just kind of really enjoyed it for that, and like from that I was looking at it from that angle throughout most of the story. So that's why a lot of my positivity is coming from is like I just kind of accepted this whole like loofiness. So, but I digress. I'll move on to the next thing I have. His performance was so good that people made memes and compilations of some of his most popular scenes and lines. I was so shocked by the depth he gave to this character, especially considering his previous works have been direct to VOD teen slashers. He earned this. Why does this feel like it's a nod to actors like Robert Downey Jr. and like Nicolas Cage and their career trajectories? Like he was a drunken, drugged up mess of an actor until he cleaned up and then hit it big with like a big movie franchise or a big movie a la like Marvel or something. I don't know. I guess that's really just an arc that a lot of celebs in Hollywood end up with. This one just also happens to be a cannibal, like most of Hollywood. I mean, what?
At least Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, like this is sort of like I'm. It makes me wonder if like that is part of like the I guess the commentary in the story is like because like it definitely feels like that arc is like very prevalent, especially in like a lot of like both in real life and in fiction of like celebritydom is like a character like. Or a person like gets their start in like humble beginnings, or like they kind of wreck their career a little bit by like drinking and getting into drugs, and then they eventually like go to rehab or and shape up, and then make it big and get awards and stuff later on. So I just was wondering if like there was some kind of like maybe that was some of the commentary that was intentional for this the story.
Could be.
And then I'll move on to the next thing here. This is wonderful, I whispered to Eric as he walked off the carpet. I know. I've never been this esteemed. I'm sorry. Why are you here? A sniveling voice said, Yancey. Sorry.
Did you do like a Jerry Seinfeld and Newman situation?
Yeah. Yancey. His greasy hair covered a single eye. His pale skin almost made him look translucent. Hi, Yancey. Yeah. Hi, Yancey, Eric said. He's trying to be civil.
No, it's
No.
hello, Yancey.
Hello, Yancey. Hello, Eric. No. Answer the question. Why are you here? Yancey retorted. Did neither of them read the nominations? And so as I read, literally, before I even read the description sniveling, that was actually the voice I read Yancey's line in. Was like, I'm sorry, why are you here? Like that sniveling snootiness.
Mm-hmm. Just based on his name alone.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that we were told he's an asshole.
Well, we were kind of told he was an asshole, yeah. And then the next thing I have here. Hey, I'm sorry about him, Eric said. Don't apologize, kid. Sometimes we got haters, and sometimes there are fellow actors, Eduardo said. Yeah, you two enjoy the night. Eric, you earned this. It was a pleasure working with you. And Valerie, keep him in check, Indigo added. Thank you, guys, Eric said. So, again, this is part of what I was saying when I dove into the story. When's the horror going to drop? Don't get me wrong. I'm really enjoying the read. Especially at this point in the story, I was really enjoying the read. I was just wondering when the actual the horror was going to happen. Yeah,
I was wondering that too as I finished reading the story.
Yeah, and the story for me, it kind of fits the bill of a wholesome horror because it's in that aesthetic line of we're following a monster. Yes, we have to as an audience we acknowledge that Eric is a monster. He eats people, and Val helps him and stuff like that. But this entire story was very wholesome all the way through, almost.
Yes,
it was it was just sort of a slice of life of a cannibal actor.
Yeah, of them being friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, being friends. This is again.
Eventually,
it falls in line with buddy horror heavily in this one, especially buddy horror by the end when Eric, we all know. Don't worry, we're one of you. And then they just have a little after party at Eric's place, and where they all have a little have Yancey hors d'oeuvres, except for Val because she has a grilled cheese.
Yes.
Which does answer actually my question from previous one, or clarifies my questions from previous, where it's no, she isn't a cannibal. It was just she's going to clean up or something like that. Which you had brought up, or you had clarified for me last week.
Yeah, you thought that he was wanting to share the food when he said, so we can, Meanwhile, I'm like, no, the means something lewd while he eats.
Yeah. But apparently he's cleaned up since then because at least the story doesn't address any of that. No,
not at all.
So that's actually kind of again, we're getting a character arc in this sequel to from the previous one. It's less skeevy.
It's jarring how much different it is, though.
Yeah, I guess, but I was here for it, honestly. But I'll move on to the next thing here, which is about actually the movie role he was in. Yeah, so this is a scene from the movie that they're showing at the awards, and why he got the award and such.
Yes.
Eric leaned forward and took his glasses off, making eye contact with the tenant. Because I need money, Francis. Do you need money? I don't think so. I need money. I don't care what you think is morally ethical or legal. I'm your fucking landlord. Do you understand me? You wouldn't have a home if it wasn't for me. So don't you ever backtalk me again. Never forget how lucky you are. And I'm so I read through this and reading this part of the story of where we're getting a little bit more context of the movie that he's nominated for. And I was I wonder how much life influenced art here with Eric. I can kind of see some parallels here with Eric's off and on Eric's life off and on camera. Primarily from the previous story as well, because he's sort of again the whole the monster using his lived in experience to kind of do this role.
Maybe he's just a method actor, and he was so into being that jerk of a character that it like became him for real.
Maybe, yeah. But then that doesn't explain why his like dad is also a cannibal thing.
Well, being cannibal or not, that doesn't mean you're an asshole.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Just because he's a bad guy doesn't mean he's a bad guy.
Yeah, no, exactly. If Wreck-It Ralph has taught us anything,
yeah.
I'll move on.
Okay.
I didn't respond and shoved him. He lost his footing and fell backwards down the stairs leading to the theater. As soon as he hit the bottom, I heard a crack. I looked down the stairs and saw the bloodied, mangled corpse of Yancey Simpson. I know I should feel bad, but I don't. Honestly, this is like the one time she shouldn't feel bad. Fuck Yancey.
Yes, 100%.
Like, I don't care if that makes you sound like a psychopath. Like, fuck this guy.
I mean, he's specifically like he just admitted to like cheating the award ceremony and all that, you know.
Yeah. And then gloating about it like outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that the award was actually for like it had on its name, like on the little like name plaque, it had Eric.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's clear. Like, it's just a complete, utter dick move, and like those people need to be eradicated. But I digress from my opinions. I'll move on. Eduardo and Indigo looked at each other and laughed, throwing the bag on the ground. Thinking that it's a body bag, that is quite a feat in itself.
Yes.
Now I'm just imagining them both holding like like either side of it and just like
or one of them is just jacked.
Yeah.
One of them is like an Arnold analog.
Yeah, Eduardo. Yeah. Oh no, it's Indigo.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Eric opened it, gasping. Inside was the bloodied corpse of Yancey Simpson. I keep wanting to say Yancey Smith for some reason. The bloodied corpse of Yancey Simpson. My jaw dropped as I looked at the senior actors. What? We thought Eric might want a celebratory dinner. Huh? Eric, did you know that? No. How did they know? Eduardo walked up to Eric and laughed. Buddy, your assistant follows you everywhere. If that's not a dead giveaway, she's your body collector. I don't know what is. Indigo smiled. Typically, actors rely on each other for meat. So it's always obvious to us when we see a good kid like you running around with an assistant. Wait, I was right earlier? Like this is like my reaction as I read this part. It's like from like earlier because I had just taken that note about like, actors being cannibals and stuff like that previously. And I was like, wait, I was right? The rich and famous of Hollywood are all monsters?
Of course they are.
This is like to me, like reading this part, it was like it's kind of like a mature version of like a Goosebumps twist ending. Like there's that one Goosebumps story where like they suspect that the librarian is a monster, and then spoilers for a Goosebumps novel from like the 90s. It's revealed that like the kid's mom and dad are actually also monsters, and that they will eventually become monsters themselves. They just don't know it yet. And there's a couple of other stories like kids novels and stuff like that are like horror kids novels that like do that as well, where like the kids are like trying to escape the monster and then they realize it's actually a family member or like a parent, and like they're also monsters. But yeah, so and I'm not, that's nothing like, I'm not like shaming the story for doing that kind of ending. I just like this is just, it's so goddamn horror wholesome. Because it's horrific and horrifying. Like it has like horror genre like aesthetic, but it's such a wholesome ending. Like Eric has friends.
Yes.
Eric is friend.
He is friend.
To maybe date the podcast.
That's fine.
Yeah. But I'll move on to my last note here with this quote. We drank and the actors ate. Not me. I opted for a grilled cheese. And the night was divine. At some point, Eric grabbed my hand and looked at me. I couldn't have asked for a better assistant, he said. I smiled. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Hastings III, my favorite man in Hollywood. Yeah, personally, I fucking loved the story. And I want more. that's really all I have to say by the end here. I had a fun read. Like this was a hell of a fun read for me, and I just really enjoy a wholesome buddy horror story. And when's the sequel? SerenaWrites.
You mean the threequel?
Yeah, the threequel. Yes. But yeah, no, I was not sure how the story was going to go, and by the end of it, I was like, I love this. So yeah, that's my actual thoughts for the story. Now for the scary part, Mikey, the East Heads for Evil.
That's the true horror.
Spotlight slowly creaking over to you.
All right, well, it's time to be critically silly.
That's always good.
Coming, I put my headband and glasses on and opened the door.
Oh no.
When I read this, my mind went back to the first story,
Yep.
where all she had was her headband and glasses.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then
So
the
I'm
rest
like,
of the story, she's just basically nude at the
Well-
award ceremony.
I mean, that's not the weirdest like awards dress I've seen somebody wear, honestly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Everybody remember Lady Gaga's meat suit or meat dress?
Vaguely.
I mean, the Met Gala just happened. So like there were some pretty weird things in that one. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Or Mikey.
Yeah, so at that point, I'm like, okay, she's naked. Then
Excuse me.
I continue reading, and there he was, Eric Hastings III, my boss. Really? The cat's eyeglasses? This is the Academy Awards, Val. I know. I think it looks nice with the dress, though. He looked me up and down. Okay, you're right. Let's go. Now, that's the only mention of the dress.
Mhm.
There's no description. So my mind just went to she's wearing her birthday dress.
The thought comes to mind, or the title comes to mind. It actually should be changed to the assistant's new wardrobe, like kind of like the emperor's new wardrobe, where the emperor, like the king or the emperor from that story, like the guy gives him like a really fancy outfit, but it's really just like imaginary, and so he's walking around naked the whole time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Eric would be like fine with it. It's like, yeah, no, it really fits that that dress that you have.
Mm-hmm. That you're totally
Mhm.
wearing.
Yes.
It turns
And
out Eric is
then-
still an asshole because he's letting her go nude
Yeah.
to the awards.
Yeah, she's actually just like insane, and from the trauma of like having to do this work, and so like she's just kind of like La La Land now.
You're making it so much darker than what it is.
I'm kind of for it too. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked it as it is, but I'm also for this.
Yeah. All right. And then my next comment is on the ending, where it's revealed that the other actors are cannibals as well.
Yeah.
And for me, this actually removed the creepiness,
Yes, I felt the exact
because
same way.
if everyone's a cannibal, then everything is normal. If everything is normal, then the story isn't creepy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, this story definitely put into my spectrum of horror. It isn't so much like the like atmosphere of horror as so much as like it's going more for like the aesthetic of horror rather than it's definitely on the far end of the aesthetic side of the spectrum of horror.
Mm.
But yeah, I also kind of had that as well, but it didn't ruin the story for me because I was just at that point I was still like high on the story.
Yes. Well, that's the end of my actual thoughts.
Okay. Gamer.
Alrighty then. Let's see. I guess I talked about most of my first note just in regards to the story publicly posted in the world now. Although, like,
Thing.
he's surprised that they know about it, even though he knows that she posted this online and he changed his life around because she posted online, and yet he doesn't. They're both surprised that these two actors know about it. So that's where the weird conflict of what's going on happens here.
Yeah, that's why I don't think it's actually like in universe, like been posted, but like I can't explain otherwise. Like what that first part outside of her.
Since sharing this with you guys or whatever.
Oh no, I don't. So here, I just clued in maybe something about it. That's just like he's gotten nicer and so that she's not referencing like that, like since she did something, she's referencing that she that as a time point or as a point in time when he started acting nicer to her, not because as a result of that. So like it's sort of like since the last, it's basically saying since the last story, like and those events, he's acted a lot nicer. Not that like he knows that not that he knows that she has described the previous story to somebody.
Yes, it is a good way to describe the time frame. However, she straight up says, "Since I introduced you all to him," she is directly saying that she has told other people about him. Who's you in this situation?
You're right, but you're also missing a point. She said she does exactly say what you said. Like, since she introduced us to him. But that's basically like she's just saying like since she told us the previous story. And about like since she introduced him to us, as in like since she introduced us to Eric in the previous story, it's not like a straightforward like since she introduced, like he doesn't know about us, we know about him sort of thing. That makes sense?
Yeah, but it's like
yeah,
it's either she's breaking the fourth wall. Or this is an in-lore thing of she put this on the internet. It's one of the two things.
And I think it's more she's just breaking the fourth wall, and like it's sort of that it's sort of like that thing like where like a character is like tied up and it's like at the beginning of a movie and then like just looks at the camera, it's like, well, I guess you're or just like their voice just kind of like pops in like narrating. It's like, well, I guess you're wondering how I got to this point. Like that kind of thing. I think it's more of a style choice rather than like an in-world immersion thing.
I guess.
Yeah.
Just ever since I read that, I was like trying to wrap my head around what that meant.
Yeah. Yeah, I think literally, or like not literally, but like literarily, it is the author's using a narration device rather than for style rather than immersive like substance.
Because yeah, like as soon as I thought about the idea of her actually posting this and this actually being on the internet in the lore of the world, why would Eric be okay with that? Like both Eric and Valerie are at that point admitting to countless murders
exactly
by openly putting the information on the internet.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like,
yeah.
The Lebs are often pretty tight up about their personal lives as is. I think being a secret cannibal and pervert would definitely count towards that.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I liked your original idea of like it being in world, but like I think it's the simplest explanation here is that it was just a stylized like narrative device rather than actually in world.
Based on the response of them to their fellow actors at the end, yes, you're probably right. But the whole time me reading it, I was under the impression that this is fine. Like this is just in this world. Cannibals are a thing. It's he's a cannibal. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's like the movie Daybreakers, where like vampire society has has like kind of taken over human society, and like they walk around and like they walk around in their like covered like streets and societies like it's every day, and like humans are the outliers. But it's probably not that, but it like I can understand where you're coming from, where you saw that.
Yeah. And in regards to him like being off alcohol and being complimentary to her frequently and all that, much more appreciative. With my headcanon of it being she posted this on the internet and me thinking, how can he possibly be okay with this? That also put my mind in, maybe he's not okay with this. And by the end of this, it turns out that he's just going to turn around and kill Valerie for what she did. And he's just lulling her into a false sense of security. And that's where the horror is going to be.
Which, that would have been a really cool idea, actually. I really like that.
But
no, we got more wholesome than actual horror, which...
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, like, which could turn off some people. I will agree. Like, it could definitely... Like, if that's not what you're expecting, and like that can be a disappointment,
especially with the not safe for work content warning at the top.
I don't I understand it for the previous story. I don't understand it for this one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's explained. She's naked.
Well,
it's not.
Yeah, but like that's. But like we have read tons of other stories that do not have that. That have this story's level of like description of nudity, i.e., non-existent, or simply implied, not descriptive, not skeevy descriptive like it was in the previous story. Like previous story, we can all agree that needed that NSFW.
Yeah.
This one, I think you probably could have gotten away with it. Maybe because it's like associated with the previous one, like they're putting this one. Well, guilty by association. You're actually not. You're actually spot on because like. Maybe they put that there for the sequel because they knew that people might go to the other story that maybe are like teenagers or like young adults or whatever, because it's creepypasta, like it's kids up basically.
Yeah.
So like and when you put one of those NSFW things up, sometimes the websites have like restrictions for like if you're a minor kind of thing.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So it won't give you this one and lock you out of the first one.
Exactly. Like so, like this way, it's whoever is able to access it gets both stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which might be the best way of doing that.
Yeah.
But I'll move on.
Yes.
So my only other note is just in regards to the whole wholesome ending.
Mm-hmm.
So while this one isn't like pervy and gross, this one is toned back so much that it's kind of sappy, in my opinion.
I can see that. I can see that.
Like. Yeah, there's still cannibalism in it, but the whole plot up until then could be something that happened on a sitcom or like a rom-com or something. Like even him dying, like people died in Seinfeld.
I like the previous story was like horror, but there was comedy. This one is comedy but horror.
Is there horror though?
Like horror because they're monsters, like they're cannibals.
Yeah.
Like that's where the horror comes from, like that. But like it's sort of that dichotomy. I understand where you're coming from on this. I really do.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's here's my counter or like my suggestion on like how to take the story. This is all being told to us by Valerie, who by the end of the previous story, was either Stockholmed or just like showed her true colors toward Eric. So this is all through the lens of Valerie, who is a broken person now.
Mm.
So there might be a lot more horrifying shit happening, but it's sort of like that trailer for the pyro in Team Fortress 2, where it's just like when you get to see through the eyes of the pyro, who's like this it's all like what's that shit? What was the song? It's like a sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, like that kind of thing. And like everything's like through this like colorful lens, and meanwhile it's like a very graphic horror bend in reality to everybody else.
Yeah.
I think like that's how you could take this story, is that since we're getting this from the POV of Valerie, who's already kind of shown in the previous story to be a broken person, we're getting her broken lens.
Maybe. And if, I know she didn't, but if she actually posted this on the internet, if she fell in love with him after that point, she might be doing this follow-up post to like patch up his good name, even though he's still an asshole.
Yeah, like
making him
like
putting him on a pedestal now.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, maybe.
That is a way to take it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's really not handed to me that way.
Well, only if you, like, yeah. It depends on like on how what you were kind of going into the story with. So yeah.
Yeah. Like we had to go through a whole discussion for three people to get to that idea. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's on the top layers of this cake.
Yeah.
Deep in there. And but yeah, I'll move on a little bit. The reveal that seemingly all or most actors are also cannibals for reasons kind of fell flat for me too when I read it.
Okay.
It's the same way that Mikey said it did. That's why I agreed with him as soon as he said it, because I had the exact same note.
Yeah.
Because like Mikey, I was waiting for the horror to happen, and the twist should have seemed more horrifying than it did, but like because everything has been sunshine and lollipops the entire time, it just kind of also felt like that because he has friend now.
Because he has friend.
Yeah.
He has many friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, like, again, if you want to take it like from a horror angle, like feel bad for all the non-cannibals that live in Hollywood now, because no, their worst fears are realized. Celebrities are cannibals, and they get away with it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Or maybe it's in this world, if you're a fan, it's your lifelong dream to be eaten by an actor.
Yeah.
Could be.
There are, sadly, people like that.
I'm sure there is. Yeah, overall, well, yeah, I'm still in the headspace that, like, there's still, like, Stockholm Syndrome going on with her, and her like, apparent love for him isn't real, even though, like, in this one, it seems like she's actually in love with him. But, like, the only way I could get a creepy vibe on this is remembering, like, no, she didn't like this guy at all. He forced her to like him, and that's where the horror is. But it's covered up with so many layers of sap. There's so much sap on it. So much
it's
sap.
So gooey. It's like an extra coating of sap.
I have to dig through it all to find the horror.
It just keeps smearing. Every time you try to wipe it away, it just keeps smearing.
Yeah. But I will agree with you, as a comedy
with horror and
with slight amounts of horror in it.
I think you're at that point you're kind of like giving it a disservice. Like it does have horror. It's just it's aesthetic. It's style rather than
Hot Fuzz has more horror than this.
Yeah, and Hot Fuzz I would actually say is a horror comedy.
Yes, it is, but Hot Fuzz is a good example. It is a very good balance of horror and comedy, where it's like basically 50-50. Because like there's a lot of tension throughout the whole thing of trying to figure out what's going on, and like there's dark shit happening. In this, it's like 90-10 or 75. Like it's there's so much of it being mundane and just like comedy and normal stuff happening with very small amounts of horror. Meanwhile, the first one was like all horror and all uncomfortable.
You see, that's what again, like I think the first one was more of like kind of more in line with like Hot Fuzz. On the level of like horror to comedy.
Okay.
Like I think it's more of yeah.
But yeah, we're all different people. We all have different views on it. That's just my view.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope I'm not like down like
with
talking
down.
God damn it. No, I just hope I'm like not like trouncing your opinion on this.
That's fine. This is a discussion.
I know.
We're here to discuss and see each other's opinions on things, and yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
But that's about all I got for actual notes until final.
Okay. So on to final thoughts as I scroll down. Yeah, so I'm going to recommend this story. It's definitely not a spooky creepypasta. I will give you all that. Mm-hmm. Probably because that's often very hard to do from a monster's POV, and with the amount of like humor that is kind of instilled into a story. This felt it honestly, this is a buddy horror, like, to me, but in like a much more goofier way than like some other buddy horrors that we've sort of discovered in the show. Mm-hmm. It's fun and macabre because of the the cannibal angle. Very much on the side of my spectrum of horror stylings over substance. Like, and there's nothing wrong with horror styling over horror substance. It's just what you're expecting in a horror story or in a creepypasta. But yeah, so to me, like, this is perfectly okay for a horror styled creepypasta rather than a horror substance creepypasta. My opinion on it is, like, it was like I could not help but love the story, like, as I was reading it. It was just such a fun read for me. So that's why I'm going to recommend it. Mikey, the East End for Evil.
Yeah, my issue with this is mundane, like going to an award show, and the only thing that really happens is that the guy that's evil, that's also a cannibal, dies because he fell down a flight of stairs.
I don't think Yancey was a cannibal.
It depends
but
if
it's
actors are cannibals or not.
Well, some are,
Yeah.
not all. Like,
Are you sure? You don't know. It doesn't say.
It doesn't say, but like, yeah, and I mean, like, technically, if you really want to get down to the definition of cannibal, cannibals are people who eat their own kind. So, like, them being cannibals, they're actually feeding on other cannibals, not human beings. If you really want to nitpick here, if you want to just like lounge on that nitpick nook.
You're really deep in there.
Yeah, I'm falling through the cracks in the cushions.
Mhm.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, like that seems to be the only way people die in these stories. Like the first guy that was brought home was tripped, fell, and cracked his skull.
Oh, true. It is the exact same way.
It really is. Like, she's just like, they call her the head cracker, the tripper. She just trips people and to fall downstairs or like crack their head open on like from trips and falls.
Call her the klutz collector.
Or even, like, to be prevalent to like what's being like played in theaters right now, they call her the fall gal.
Nice.
Yes.
Sorry.
So, yeah, it was really mundane. And then the ending where it's revealed that there's more cannibals and there's actually a club of cannibals that, don't need assistance because they help each other out, but it's obvious that he's a cannibal because he has an assistant.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, by the way.
Always the new guys that use the assistants rather than use the support group.
Every person that has an assistant with them is a cannibal. Batman, assistant.
Yeah.
Robin with a long time.
Cannibal.
Yeah. So the fact that sort of cannibals is normal for this world that has been created, it removes the creepiness for me. Like,
Yeah,
it's just a part of their world.
Yeah, because creepiness is generally stuff that isn't normal or isn't appreciated in normal circles. But if it is, then I don't know.
I mean, like, by that definition, Daybreakers would not be a creepy movie, and it is a creepy movie. Because it's a movie where, like, vampire society has overtaken human society.
Well, that's a very normal movie for vampires.
Well, yeah, but... All right, fair
You're
enough.
watching it as a human.
Yeah.
Just like we're reading this as a not cannibal. Right, guys?
Yeah, yes. Definitely not cannibal.
That's
Definitely
why we didn't find this creepy, because we're cannibals.
Yes.
It's normal for us.
Yeah, we got Review Cannibal, the Cannibal in yellow, and Mike Key. The K stands for cannibal.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Because poor literacy is cool.
It's cute. Yes.
Wow, we are just like We're having giggles. We're like critical silliness is at critical levels.
A little bit.
Yeah, so continuing on, I'm not going to recommend this.
All right. And gamer.
So when I read the first one, the first story is uncomfortable to read. In the way like watching a friend live in denial because of greed and being unable to help them. This one was, at least for me, kind of a boring read, unfortunately, which might be partially because I don't tend to care about celebrities and such as much. So a story about a mundane awards ceremony with light comedy and light horror wasn't really grabbing me. The reveal at the end that the other actors were also cannibals wasn't exactly scary or anything for me. It muted any possibility for the creep, actually. Because if they weren't cannibals, then there might have been a reason for Val and Eric to kill them or something, you know? Like, hey, we're here for the party. And then it's like, yeah, actually, you know what, Val, it's been 2 weeks, you know?
Yes, right this way, Eduardo.
Yeah. Like, basically, this is the most PG-13 story about cannibals that there could be, I think.
Fair.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone agrees with me or
not. I agree with you in that, like, this is like how you feel, but I don't agree with your
I have a right to be wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm not like, I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, I mean, like, again, like, I see it differently. So, like, yeah.
And actually thinking about it, I wonder if this story might hit better, at least for me and Mikey, if we read this story and only this story, and not the previous one, because the end would actually be revealed.
Yeah, that's true. Like, this could. I wonder. I also wonder if, like, maybe if this wasn't treated like it was a sequel to the previous one, and was just sort of like another story with Eric and Val, and just like you could like make the first story optional to read rather than have that one be you have to read that one and then the sequel.
Yeah, because we know from word one that he's a cannibal in this, but the end is still kind of set up like a reveal.
Well, because it's a reveal that, like, sorry.
It's more of a reveal that others know, in that there's more cannibals out there.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Yeah, whereas like the first story was like, it was just more of like her realizing just how broken she was for Eric, like how much she had fallen for Eric, and again how broken. At least from my perspective, that's how I'm kind of interpreting her feelings toward all this stuff. And then in this one, the reveal at the end is that he's not alone as a cannibal. Like, there are other cannibal actors out there.
Yeah.
But
it just didn't really hit right for me.
Okay.
Because it on its own, and maybe Val this whole time didn't know he was a cannibal, and because like with the context of only having the story, we wouldn't really have the context that she's killed people before and given him people to eat. Although he does say Val, I'm a cannibal. It's fine. So never mind. Actually, there's no true reveal because he does say that early on.
Yeah, so, it's like literally from like in the first paragraph.
Yeah, I just remember that as I was saying this, but it's fine. Yeah, going into this expecting to be creeped out, it's not going to happen. And unfortunately, that's what I do most of the time when I go into a story. I go into a story wanting to be creeped out and wanting to be immersed, and I couldn't get into either of those headspaces in this, unfortunately, at least for me, just because of how mundane it was, or wholesome it was, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
I'm personally still not going to recommend it. But I would recommend it if you're looking for a more lighthearted and not necessarily scary story that has a slight creepiness to it.
A more lighthearted story about cannibalism.
It is.
I know, but it's just like I just can't help but like chuckle at that idea. It's just like, if you're looking for a lighter tale, I might honestly recommend this story specifically, maybe not the previous one. If the Kame House Party guys ever ask me for like more creepypastas to read on their show, I might honestly recommend this one because like this is the kind of thing that's like low scare, but what like those guys are often looking for in creepypastas. They're not looking for like the super ones that like are gonna like keep them up at night. They're looking for like the sort of like more like horror and chill sort of stories.
Yes,
Or
for
the more like casual, like chill stories.
Yeah, the read of this just shocked me of how different it was to the first one. Like, I'm gonna be honest, reading like I said at the start of my final recommendations here, the first one was uncomfortable for me to read the entire way through. And knowing that there was a sequel, I was like, ah, fuck.
Yeah, you I reminded you that we were recording today, and you were like, "Great, I'm about to start reading this one." It's like, "Oh, good, another not safe for work tag, awesome."
Yeah.
I'm like, I had read it before, so I did like tell you, it's like, well, actually, I don't think that's really necessary for this one, but like, here you go, yeah, go into it.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of like trying to like help buffer you a little bit. It's like, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah. It just I didn't like how it hit me, basically.
Okay. Well, you're what's the word? Not open to your opinion. You're
I
can't entitled.
Yeah. Well, you're entitled to your opinion, as am I, as is Mikey, as is the world. So, but yeah, I guess that was it, right, gamer?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Well, that I guess that is our final thoughts. One recommendation and two non-recommendations, depending on your perspective on reading on horror reading material. But that will do it for this week's episode. So if you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below if this gets posted. We're all on Twitter. Mikey's at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow without that W at the end because his name is too damn long.
It really is.
And I'm at Review Cultist. I'm also on Blue Sky at Review Cultist, so you can send me messages there. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Or you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah! And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. Select the back if you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tiers with special episodes, early access, and extra content. To all our patrons that are helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely. Because without your listenership, it'd be like screaming into the void. And without your authorship, without these stories that you write and post online and share with the internet, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we'd have nothing to talk about. So thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cannibal.
I'm Mikey. The K stands for cannibal.
And I'm the Cannibal in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well. Yeah, you get it? Our title's Al Dente Rigamortis because it's creepypasta, but also like it's cob and flesh because like rigor mortis and I'll leave.
Oh, I get it.